ABC7 presents Chasing the Golden State Killer.
As the East Area rapist is physically raping that victim, he is sobbing and saying, "I hate you, Bonnie." That told me that he had some significant female in his life named Bonnie, and he had some anger.
That anger from a man believed to have committed 12 murders and 50 rapes may be explained by this old newspaper article. Joseph D'Angelo, the man now accused of being the Golden State Killer, was engaged to a woman named Bonnie in the early 1970s. They never married. Bonnie has been identified now and is said to be talking with prosecutors. The last time we saw D'Angelo was in a Sacramento court in a barred holding cage. He is charged with 12 counts of murder in 4 counties. He's yet to enter a plea, but some people have already made up their minds, and they're upset the suspect may have been living in Citrus Heights, one of the very communities where the Golden State Killer left his mark.
I really had somehow rationalized he was dead. So to find out he's been living and breathing in Citrus Heights, to find out he had a wife and children.
Joseph D'Angelo married Sharon Huddle in 1973. They have 3 daughters. Some reports say they are separated. Last year, D'Angelo retired from Save Mart, where he worked as a truck mechanic for 27 years. Gary Griffin was his friend and co-worker. The two often had lunch together.
I can't look at him in court because I picture the guy that I was standing next to at work. He was very afraid of being in trouble. Never called in sick. He was proud of that.
D'Angelo often ate at Charlie's Cafe in Citrus Heights.
This is where he sat 1 week before his arrest. The second time I served him his tuna salad, he threw the cheese on the table. And I'm like, is everything okay? What's wrong? He's like, what are you trying to do, kill me? I can't eat cheese. I told you that before.
His neighbors described D'Angelo as a complicated man.
He was always friendly to all the neighbors and stuff. We called him a yeller, but come to find out he was a little hard of hearing.
He used to have these tantrums out in the front. He would yell so loud.
He was just an odd guy, kind of kept to himself, but had a temper.
D'Angelo went to middle school in Rancho Cordova, then Folsom High. He graduated with a degree in criminal justice from Cal State Sacramento, then joined the Navy before getting a job as a cop.
He is an ex-officer in 2 different agencies. One in the Exeter Police Department.
His hiring even makes the local paper. So does his firing from his next police job in Auburn. D'Angelo charged with stealing dog repellent and a hammer from a drugstore. Now there is speculation he may have been a commuter criminal living in Auburn and allegedly driving to the Bay Area to stalk his victims.
Well, very possibly he was committing the crimes during the time he was employed as a peace officer, and obviously we'll be looking into whether it was actually on the job.
Now that investigators have named Joseph D'Angelo as a suspect, it adds credibility to a long-held theory that the Golden State Killer is also a suspect in an earlier crime spree. Those crimes happened at the same time D'Angelo was working as a police officer in the small town of Exeter in the Central Valley.
That was roughly during the time as the Visalia ransacker cases were occurring.
Visalia is 15 minutes from Exeter, where D'Angelo lived and worked. The Visalia ransacker is accused of murdering a local professor and terrorizing his family. By now, the crime sounds familiar.
A man waking me up wearing a ski mask pushed me down and shot my dad twice and then took off running. I loved my father dearly and he took him away from me.
The Visalia ransacker burglarized about 100 homes. One detective thought he spotted him and told him to freeze. The suspect begged the officer not to shoot, but then pulled out his own gun and fired. The bullet hit the officer's flashlight, shards ricocheting into his eye.
I fell down, the impact knocked me back, and he continued to run, throwing some items apparently taken in the burglary.
That was 1975. Fast forward to the summer of 1979. A Walnut Creek teenager is looking forward to 8th grade when her innocence is taken. And now she tells ABC7 News reporter Leslie Brinkley she's taking it back.
Nobody wants to walk around with it, hi, Mary Burward, rape victim.
Mary Burward was one of the youngest victims. When I first met her the day after the arrest, she was still in shock and wanted to remain anonymous.
I just heard it on the news, and I started crying. It's over.
Talking with close friends from high school changed her feelings.
And we just cried and laughed.
That empowered her, she said, to sit down on camera and tell her story.
That was such a crappy situation for so many years that I had to hide it, and I didn't talk about it. So it was, now it's out there. So, and I don't have to go one by one and tell this horrible story to everybody. It's, it's ripping the Band-Aid off.
The attack happened right after her 13th birthday. A man entered her Walnut Creek bedroom in the middle of the night with a knife.
The attacker wore a mask.
He tied my legs and tied my hands and gagged me with my training bra.
She was sexually assaulted and feared her stalker would kill her father and sister who were sleeping just down the hall. She says she slept with the light on for years, but she got through it on her own. No therapy back in those days.
I wanted to get on being a cheerleader, doing my thing, but now knowing all of this stuff, it just makes me just sick.
He stalked you?
Stalked me. He stalked everybody. All of his victims he was stalking. So how long did he stalk us? It hits your inner soul. Sexuality is part of you. It's a very important part of you. And to have that tarnished before I even had a chance to start experiencing it wasn't a good way to go. And he shouldn't have had the right to take it from me.
In 1979, the same year Berwert was assaulted, Alameda County District Attorney Nancy O'Malley was a volunteer who answered phones at a new rape crisis center and even accompanied one of the East Area rapist victims to the hospital.
How it was then, we were just so ill-equipped. The Rape Crisis Center movement was just starting.
The experience sparked O'Malley's passion for pushing to get rape kits tested and suspects like the Golden State Killer caught. But because of the statute of limitations on rape charges in the 1970s, Berwert's case will not be prosecuted. That angers her.
He's still here and I'm still here. So why should he not have to be accused, stand accused, pay the price?
But there is a chance she and other rape victims could still face their alleged attacker in court. The DA says in some instances, victims of similar crimes believed to be by the same attacker can testify about a defendant's modus operandi or intent.
So for those women who woke up with him with a knife to their face or a gun to their head, it's very possible that they could be able to come and testify about their experience.
Berwert says she would love to testify against her attacker, whoever he may be.
There is a whole lot of karma coming his way.
A suspect may be in jail, but online, detectives are still very much on the case.
I cleared my schedule and I ended up, consuming really all the information there is.
Our ABC7 special presentation, Chasing the Golden State Killer, continues.